Good evening and very welcome, an amazing turn-up. Welcome to this first keynote of the Transmediale 2014 conference program, Art as Evidence. I'm extremely honored that we have the guests Laura Poitras, Jacob Appelbaum and Trevor Paglen. This is the first keynote of the stream Hashes to Ashes, which has been put together by our curator Tatiana Bazzichelli. She will be the one that introduces the event. And I would just like to thank the Bundeszentrale für politische Bildung to be the funding body that makes this conference program possible. Enjoy the evening. Thank you. And welcome the speakers.
So thank you everybody for being here this night. First of all, I would like to thank Laura Poitras, Jacob Appelbaum and Trevor Paglen to be with us today, an extraordinary combination of courageous and brave people. It is a great gift what we are receiving this evening with their presence. So I really thank you for being with us. I would like to start with introducing the conference stream Hashes to Ashes in general, and these events named Art as Evidence in particular. In the past 6 months, since the release of the NSA material by Edward Snowden, it has become clear that critical practices from artists, hackers, and activists must be rethought. As many people have already reported, we are facing an increase in geopolitical control, which is invading many aspects of our daily life. But as we will see tonight and in the next days, attempts to undermine freedom of speech, privacy, accessibility of information made by various sources of power have been happening already many times in the past. The history of whistleblowing, which could be tracked back to the 18th century, when the first whistleblower protection law in the United States was enacted, demonstrated the needs of exposing and bringing attention to abuses of governments or misconduct of large corporations. Later in time, the courageous act of Daniel Ellsberg, who leaked the Pentagon Papers to the New York Times during the Vietnam War in 1971, was an example of it. Attempts to persecute hacker activity are also intrinsically embedded in the development of digital culture. And I'm referring, for example, to the Operation Sun Devil, a wide United States Secret Service hacker crackdown in the early 1990s. Bruce Sterling, that was with us yesterday, wrote a book about it published in 1992. In this festival, we are claiming that the revolution is over, and we welcome the audience to the afterglow of digital culture. But what we should mostly advocate during these days and beyond them is to discover together what burns underneath the ashes of digital rights. How can we produce self-awareness in the digital and physical infosphere? What can we learn from artists, hackers, whistleblowers, activists, and theoreticians that advocate different scenarios from the one of increasing surveillance? Let's concentrate now on the topic of this keynote, Art as Evidence. This title was suggested by Laura Poitras to me during one conversation that we had some time ago. The main point was, and I quote her, to reflect on how we can use art to translate, evidence or information beyond revealing the facts so that people experience that information differently and not just intellectually but emotionally. In this case, art becomes a means for experiencing the system of surveillance and control from within. The challenge is to understand how these systems work, not merely opposing them, but learning from them, tracking them down as they track us, stretching their limits and consequently proposing alternative models to them. We need to be pervasive without replicating logics of power and politics of fears. We need to see what we want to fight with different eyes, understanding the infrastructure and logic of power from their inside, demystifying them. A big power has always a vulnerable spot, and it is possible to discover it and to expose it. This is a great lesson that we learn from whistleblowers and from people like William Binney, Chelsea Manning, and Edward Snowden, that put their life at risk to disclose information. They have shown that even if the power of control looks so gigantic, the action of a single individual can seriously undermine it. You don't need to be a superhero to do it. You can be a normal person that decides to take action. The people here on stage and the one that will be with us in the next days, and many people in the audience that are here this night, will be glad to share with you what they know about this. And from some of them, you can learn how to do it. The work of Laura Poitras, Jacob Appelbaum, and Trevor Paglen demonstrate that people can still fight back, generating conscious form of intervention and political awareness, translating information that we are confronted with and sharing it with us by using different means. Laura Poitras has been doing this with her documentaries about America post 9/11 and as a journalist bringing to light Edward Snowden's disclosure and the documents of the NSA affair, along with Glenn Greenwald. And she has also an upcoming work on the surveillance state and Edward Snowden's disclosures. Jacob Appelbaum has been doing this by developing the Tor project and enabling people to have agency, informing and writing about surveillance, privacy, and anonymity. And Trevor Paglen has been doing it with his artistic work on secret geographies by revealing contradiction, infrastructure, and bugs of power system. And to conclude, what I find the greatest lesson to learn from them is that they have been doing it with positivity, without victimizing themselves by believing in the power of people. We know that they have been often harassed by their own country because of what they do, but they keep going on with an incredible energy to make people better understand how power works and what we are facing today, and we are probably going to face tomorrow. So I leave the stage to them, and thank you once again for being with us.